Senator, this better than expected jobs number, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells us that we still have a very long way to go. There's a great anomaly here. The president says it's stupendous. The president says it's a joyous day when we have almost 20 million people out of work, when the unemployment number it went down, but it's still much higher and higher than any time during the Great Recession after 2008. And here's why did this happen? In large part because of the stimulus, because of the plans that we put together, mainly pushed by Democrats, to pump trillions of dollars into an economy that was just headed in free fall. Here's my worry, Stephanie. My worry is these numbers will make the president, the Republican Senate, complacent. We have lots of cliffs coming up. July 1st, loads of states have their budgets due. If they don't get state and local aid, there are going to be massive layoffs among state and local workers. We haven't seen that many of those so far. We have a rental crisis. People after 3 months moratorium are going to be thrown out of their homes. The unemployment insurance, which pumped a whole lot of money into the economy, expires July 31st. Our bill moves it till December 31st, the one that passed the House. And let's not forget the stimulus checks, $1,200 people got, which got a lot of money quickly into the economy. There's no more of those unless we pass a new bill. And one more point, racial justice. Racial justice, we Democrats intend to put together a plan on racial justice and police enforcement, a strong, bold, comprehensive plan together on Monday, Senate and House Democrats together. But there's an economic component of this. African-American unemployment went up, as you pointed out, or one of the reporters, that a lot of that is in the industries that are hurting the most, the travel and the entertainment and the retail, things like that. And if we don't get massive testing, which is the real answer here, if people had instantaneous tests and knew when they entered a place that everyone was tested and the people who were inside didn't have COVID, we could open up a lot more quickly. That's in our bill, too. So the bottom line is very simple here, and that is the stimulus helped get the economy going. But we need a lot more, or we could go right back into the ditch with unemployment expiring. And one other thing, even large companies, they had cash reserves that last 3-4 months. They're going to run out in the next few months. And if they can't borrow, they're going to have trouble too. So this is not something to say is joyous and stupendous, but rather is to double down and do more of what we did, which has the beginning signs of being successful.
I hear everything that you're saying, Senator, but are you going to be able to get your Republican colleagues to hear that and agree? It was already an uphill battle for you to get more stimulus passed. And now with the jobs picture, what it is, and the president running a victory lap, do you think Republicans are going to take your call?
Well, the great worry here is that they will be complacent. This is not the time to be complacent. Nearly 20 million people out of work, a 13% unemployment number is not a time to be joyous, stupendous, and stop doing things, because we have new cliffs to occur, and there's a very strong likelihood things will go down again if there's no new stimulus. Will our Republican colleagues see that? Or will they be bound by an ideology that says you're not supposed to spend government money, even though the private sector we know cannot get us out of this crisis alone? Will Donald Trump be able to finally think in a systematic, more than a month ahead or day ahead way, instead of doing all these horrible things he's doing in terms of dividing the country, bigotry, everything that General Mattis talked about? Well, the jury's out. But we are ready. The House passed a very strong bill that would help us move forward. The Senate Republicans have not even said they put it on the floor before July 4th. If they don't, I would say the odds are very high that the gains we've seen today will evaporate.
Senator, you mentioned just a moment ago when we were talking racial inequality, how there is clear economic inequality beyond stimulus. Is this an opportunity for the government to take a closer look at policies? You mentioned it. Black unemployment, 16.8%. Black women in this country, almost 20% of them lost their jobs between February and May. If you go back in time, education, we don't have education equality in this country or opportunity equality. We don't have Black Americans America occupying executive jobs where they can work from home and benefit from the roaring stock market.
You're 100% right, and our stimulus bill does aim things. We push much more money into minority small businesses. We got a $10 billion set aside for what's called CDFIs, which are little institutions that help minority businesses get loans from the PPP. The unemployment insurance, of course, helps the disproportionate number of black people that are out there. But we need structural stuff. We need to improve our education system. Here's another one. Why did such a higher percentage of African Americans and people of color die and get corona? Because they had lousy health care, inferior health care compared to the rest of the population. So the pre-existing conditions like something like diabetes, which may have been taken care of if you were in a middle-class suburb, didn't get taken care of in the inner city. So we must learn from this. We must deal with law enforcement reform, but there's a whole lot of other things we have to do on education, on jobs, on health care to bring greater equality. And I hope and pray that this crisis will alert America to it. We Democrats are going to push very hard on both fronts. Law enforcement, I asked Leader McConnell to put a law enforcement reform bill on the floor by July 4th. And economic recovery, we've asked them to put the COVID-4 bill on the floor and debate it with us. So far, all they're doing is these sort of goofy they're a conspiracy caucus. They're focused on, the Russian conspiracy and the Biden conspiracy and the Obama conspiracy. That's not what the American people want. They want more action. The action we did helped break the worst of this recession. But if we don't do more, we could slide right back, and it could be even worse. I hope, I pray that Trump and the Republicans don't take this as a sign to be complacent, because there are many more cliffs and problems coming up in the economy that we are aiming to fix. And so far, they're sitting on their hands. This may make it, I hope it doesn't, but this may make it worse in terms of the ability to have them get something done.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.